And we are back. That was my little, I know y'all heard that. I was in tune too. that little starter off there. Y'all didn't know I could sing a little bit. But no, welcome. We are back. Triggered AF, the podcast. How you feeling, Dani?
I'm feeling great. I'm feeling really good. I've been feeling really good this week. It's been a good week.
Listen.
Trying, but good. Perspective,
because it is all about perspective, how you choose to see it. Although this week has been challenging for me, the fact that I am still cute and alive is just a whole blessing. So I am
everything that overrides everything that's happened. It just does.
It does. It absolutely does. So this conversation around Black goodness, y'all, first of all, I am so excited to have it. I just realized I have met some of the dopest people on the continent of Africa. I actually met Tré Thomas on the continent of Africa. We were at a mutual friend's wedding. Shout out to Tori. Hey, girl. We were at a mutual friend's wedding. And we sat next to each other, and he had such a dope vibe. I love a dopey human. And he was just so cool and like so open and just good energy. And so whenever I meet good energy folks, I tell people all the time, I am a collector of good humans, because this life, you are not supposed to live it by yourself. You are supposed to find and connect with high vibration, good energy, fun loving humans, because it makes the experience so much better. Am I right?
It does. It really does. That's what it's all about. You literally live longer by having a better community. So
absolutely. And so in this conversation today that we are going to have with talent manager, brand and business developer, Tré Thomas, we are going to talk about Black goodness, because too many times we hear so many negatives around Black men and who they are and all the things. And it's like, we gonna need to bring on some good Black male energy so that we can tap into what is the goodness and what are the most amazing things about not only being a Black man, but about their experience, and how can, for those who love them, better support and love on them and enjoy the goodness that is being a Black man. So we are going to bring him on. What's up? How are you?
What's up, Alechia? What's up, Dani?
Hey, yes, let's do it. I'm so excited. Thank you so much. Sorry we couldn't be with you physically in LA, which was the original plan, but what are we blaming it on? Retrograde? What happened?
Yeah, retrograde.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Bitch is always retrograde, and I don't understand.
Yeah. Wait, I think we're a day away from retrograde now, right? So we can't blame it on that, right?
But when we were coming, retrograde was happening.
Right. Yeah. You're right. I got you.
The flight system went down, and y'all was raining a lot, right?
Floods. Whole floods.
Yeah, Alechia had a lot. Yeah, it wasn't meant to be in person, but hopefully we can connect in person sooner than later. So thank you for pivoting and adjusting with us and still making the time for us. We really appreciate it. Alechia gave you a wonderful intro, and something that we ask all of our guests, because we always have people that come on with wonderful titles and accolades and accomplishments. But we really want to know, who do you say that you are, right? Outside of all the things that you've accomplished, which is phenomenal, who are you? Just at the end of the day, how do you really feel like you actually show up in the world?
Yeah. Honestly, I think it's crazy. I get this question a lot, and I think people see, especially working in like entertainment, they see like the people I'm working for, right? And the people I work for, we all kind of have similar, like, energies, right? So everybody's typically to themselves, very private. And I think when I'm in a room for work, it's very like, oh shit, like Tré is not playing, like it's time to get shit done. And the reason I'm like that is because I feel like you have to set a tone when you're doing something. People are gonna respect me like they're gonna respect my clients. Outside of that, I am at the crib watching TV, watching Martin and cooking all day. I have my dog, who you guys will probably see walk around here. She just goes back and forth sometimes. And I'm just a around the way type of dude, right? So I came from a certain area. So I like real chill things. I'm not really the whole, like, I did the club thing when I was younger. Now I'm just like a chill guy, honestly. Like, I like the most boring things. People would not even believe it. So.
And You're so funny. Like, you'll hear your accent come out every once in a while, because y'all, he from Louisiana.
Oh, okay. That's where that's from. Okay.
No, wait. It's Houston, Texas, by way of Louisiana, right?
Yeah, so my family came from a small town called Opelousas, and I grew up in Houston. So yeah,
Y'all gonna hear that. You gonna hear it.
You know, I'm trying to, you know, be a little together, you know, so you guys understand me, because I don't want to hear nothing later on. Like, Tré, we got to redo it because we couldn't understand what you were saying.
No, don't worry. They'll figure it out. They gonna figure it out one way or the other. They gonna get it.
Sure.
But it's that round the way, that super down to earth energy that I so loved when I met you. Primarily because too many times people will take what they do and take that on as their entire personality. And it's like, you were someone before this title or this role, right, or this whomever you were working with. So I love that it's that you have never lost that, no matter what you were doing or who you were working with. And it's a beautiful thing, primarily because, like, in the media, a lot of times, Black men, they can be, and they're often depicted as like violent or hypersexual, and even lazy, which we know is not true, but that's the major and the primary depiction. So it can feel as though it's true, right? Because like it perpetuates like this narrative that you're not only incapable of being like impactful leaders or good husbands or you know, great fathers, partners, and friends. It makes it appear as though you're literally only good for one thing, which is mayhem, which we all know is not the truth. But how have you not allowed, you know, how other people view you and even perceive you to be, to determine the trajectory of your life?
No, for sure. So with me, you know, this is literally has been a journey for a long time. Anyone who knows me back in Texas or Louisiana, they'll probably say that it's always the same thing. He's came a long way, right? I used to get in a lot of trouble growing up. I used to be in a lot of fights. I have a huge family, and we kind of used to go by the code, like one of us is all us type of thing, right? So that mentality, especially while I grew up with, it seeped into my life once I started, I graduated from high school. I didn't think I was gonna go to college. And if anybody, I normally have golds in my mouth. I took them out like 2 days ago, get my teeth clean because I didn't want them rot. But typically I show up as who I am in every room. But the beauty of it is that people, they talk to me, they get to know me a little better. And it's like, oh shit, this man has 5 degrees, right? And I've made straight A's my entire life. I've a couple B's here and there, but for the most part, I've always been like a scholar. And I try to change that perception that way, right? I don't, just because I have these degrees, I'm not wearing suits and things every day. Like, you're going to see the old Tré, you're going to always get him, but I'm going to show you like, hey, I elevated. And I think it's important for people to see your journey, you know, and talk about it and be open about it. Like, I don't lie about anything. I'm very honest, maybe too honest at certain times, but it's just more so like, I think, especially as Black men, we're not the softest looking men. I mean, people, you know what I'm saying, on the planet, right? And it's because, and I love like our strong features. Like, I love my nose, and I love my teeth are not all, you know what I'm saying, the same. Like, I got a little gap right here. You know, I love these things about myself. And I think just in the past, it's been these type of things that you hear and you see about us, and you kind of associate it with certain things. But me, I like to be disruptive. So I'm going to change the narrative. Like, when you see this, you're going to see educated Black man. You're going to see business owner. You're going to see me in rooms that you probably never expect me to be in. And I'm going to tell you, like, so that guy that you used to count out, he's here now. So.
Hello, that part. Yeah, because, you know, it is unfortunate, and we forget sometimes the power of the media, right? And whether it's a TV show, a movie, the news, people don't look at media, especially if it doesn't seem like an ad, that it is branding. It is a form of branding people as a certain thing. It perpetuates stereotypes, it perpetuates fear, it perpetuates all sorts of mindsets and opinions about people that aren't necessarily based in fact. And I think especially when it comes to Black men, we just tend to forget, and I'm even guilty of it too, being married to a Black man, having a Black daddy. Like, you forget sometimes just how amazing Black men are, and just like how much they do and how much they carry. So we want to kind of ask a fun question around that, since you are in brand development, is if you could, in a perfect world where you had all the media power ever, how would you rebrand the Black man?
You know what? Honestly, I like how we are, in a sense, right? I just think that we have to like critique it, right? I think we have to prove people wrong. Like, I don't want us to change our appearance. I think that's what holds us back, because typically so many people look at us and they don't listen to us. They just look and assume. Honestly, that's why I ended up, my company is called Brown Boy Talent Agency, right? And the reason talent management, sorry. And the reason I called it that is because I had an interview, and I used to be like a high level executive for a company, and I got like approached to go to another place, interview with a guy. I don't want to say what the network is, but interview with him, and he was like really high up. Typically, I don't put my name on my resume. I'll put like T Thomas, right? And Tré is short for Trenard, and then my name is Trenard DeMarcus. And so I don't put any of that. I always put T Thomas, and I just put my resume and everything on there. Great interview. I showed up as I was, goals in my mouth, suited up. I look nice when I dress up, type of thing. And his words to me was like, yo, I didn't expect a brown boy to come in here. And I was like, oh shit, just based off of my resume. And I didn't act, I could have acted a fool, but I was like, nah, you know what? Cool. I knew he was gonna hire me. I'm that confident. Once I'm in front of you, I got the job. And literally, I left, and the lady from HR reached out to me, and I declined. And I said, after speaking to him, it just wasn't a great fit for me. And she was like, oh, what was it? I said, it just wasn't a great fit for me. But I knew I was going to do something with that name in a couple of years. And I did. And I created my own company. Right. And saying all that to say, like, I think it's a thing of like, if I had to rebrand us, it would just be more so like, I want us to like just go harder in everything that we do, because I like the age of Black men that we're living in. Like, shout out to like the actor Yaya. I think I finally have some people that I can look up to that looks like me. Like,
that was my next question, is who would be like a spokesperson or spokespeople? Like, who you feel like are some Black men doing the damn thing, are setting a great example for the overall community?
For sure. Yaya being one. He's super dope. He's like an incredible actor. I like people who look like me. My favorite person, like literally I looked up to is Young Dolph, rest in peace. That's somebody that kind of like, he has my story. You know what I'm saying? He came from where he came from, and then he changed it. And once he realized like, yo, I'm making some money, but you know what? I want to give back, and I want to help my people, and I want to develop things in my areas and like where I came from, and just teach these young boys like, yo, you can come up, like you can be you and come up. So I think he's dope, of course. And it's a long list. You guys are going to see a lot more of him, but he's also a client of mine, but a good friend named Maurice J. Williams. Like, he's super dope. Just a really, really just strong energy. Any room he enters, like he's the first person you look at, right? But he's himself. Like, he would tell you, look, I'm from Texas. This is what I like to do. I'm in LA making some change, So it's a long list. I could go for days, but I like the age of Black men that we're in now. Like, we're doing well. So
I love that. I like the fact that it's like, I just want us to go harder. Like, I don't want us to change who we are. I want us to go harder. I love that, because a lot of times too, in trying to improve and do better and get better, you forget like, yo, I'm dope as is too now. Like, I'm dope by default. Like, let's be clear.
Yeah. And I think a lot of it, I think we forget how dope we are, especially like going in front of like certain people. Like, I've been in a room, y'all, and I tell you, it's nothing but like white people, literally. And, I always make a joke. I say, sometimes in these corporate rooms, they think every Black person acts like Nene Leakes, right? Love Nene. But what I mean by that is like, she's, how comical and witty she is, but she's super smart, right? And so they expect all of us to be that way. And I'm so chill, and I'm in these meetings and I'm looking at them, and then I let everybody talk. And then here it comes. I'm about to drop the best goddamn like development, like creative brief you've ever seen in your life, right? Yeah. And so I think it's a thing of like, we're Black men, all of us are so different, but we're the same. Whether you're brown, you're darker, or you're lighter, I think we all are viewed the same, which is like aggressive. So when we do come through and we drop a gem and we're saying like some dope shit, it's shocking to them. And what I mean by going harder is like, yo, let's raise each other up. Let's bring each other in these rooms. Let's be who we are. Let's not have to change who we are to make them comfortable. Like, be who you are, like in every space you're in. So
yeah. Absolutely. And two, because so you grew up challenging, and I understand the fighting, because I used to fight myself. Listen, you bother my sister, say too much, not a problem. Don't let my two hands come solve. Don't let this two face fool you. Okay?
Listen.
But being that, at least for me, being a person who I'm always down to fight. Like, nothing but a word. Like, all right, babe, let's just go fight it out. You sometimes hear adults and even sometimes things in the media where you hear like, okay, well, you're a piece of shit, or you're not this, or you're not good, or you feel like you have to act tough or put on like a strong front. And like for men, like showing emotions is like a sign of weakness. But how do those like negative stereotypes and things, how does it like impact like your sense of self-worth and love, like as you're growing and learning who you are? And then what do you do to start like combating what those negative feelings and experiences have created in you?
Yeah. Honestly, that's a journey that I'm literally just kind of starting to complete. It has taken me a long time, guys, if I'm just being super transparent, like I never really let shit affect me from people, but I've always felt like I had to address it. I've always been one of those people that's like, yo, if you say something about me, I'm going to call you. I'm going to talk to you. I'm going to have a conversation with you, or, you never know where it's going to go with me, especially in those moments. I think now I'm in a place of, you know what, I'm coming to get everything. And I literally just got like another tattoo on me, and it basically says, get everything, right? That's all I want to hear is on the side of me. And I'm not getting upset. I'm not getting even. I'm not getting mad anymore. I'm getting everything, because typically that's what kills, people around you. Like, they hate that. They hate that you're not paying attention to them. They hate that you're being so successful. And it literally doesn't stop anything when you're just worried about yourself, right? And so typically if you're worried about somebody else, you're stopping like your potential. Literally, I'm just controlling my emotions moving forward. Like it's no more like getting upset with people. As long as you don't put your hands on me or stop, do something at the bank with my money, we good. We go good.
Yeah, it's like we say this a lot in you hear it a lot in therapy, or you hear it a lot in like among women, but you don't really hear it among Black men, where it's like taking back your power. Like, I think it's like high time, like overdue for Black men to kind of take back their power. And what I mean by that is when you are getting upset, when you are reactive, when you are choosing violence that day, or whatever it is that's happening where you are so reactive, you are literally giving somebody else your power. They get the better of you. We know, unfortunately, for Black men, it can also result in you losing your life, whether it's from the cops, whether it's through gang violence, whatever it is, whether it's some Becky in a park deciding that she just wants to call the cops on you for walking too close behind her. I mean, it's just like our inability to control our emotions can more so be a matter of life and death than with other races, unfortunately. And it's just too often that it gets the better of us. So I love hearing you say that you're learning to control your emotions. And it's a journey all people should go on. But I think especially because of the trauma and the things that we've been through, we just have a little more rage and anger inside, rightfully so. Yeah. And Alicia, I've been thinking, like, I want to do an episode on rage, because I just feel like nobody talks, like, we talk about like surface stuff, but there's like some deep rage that needs to be addressed. But I like to hear a Black man saying, like, you know what, I'm just gonna do what is best for me and my family, and pick myself and make sure that I'm doing the things that's in my best interest, regardless of what everybody else is doing, and not victimizing yourself and always being like, oh, well, this is happening because I'm this. It's like, no, go get whatever education you need, go get all the titles and accolades you need, so that they can't tell you can't do these things. Like, you know what I mean? It's like removing our own glass ceiling, so that we can really soar and do the things, because we have the power. I just think that we get convinced that we don't, and then we buy into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and we have to hold accountability. Like, it's sometimes it's not that serious. Literally, sometimes.
Right.
Like, and it comes with growth and maturity, and you start realizing, because everybody is so like, oh no, you got something to say, I'm gonna check you. And now it's at a point of like, I've always had a good heart, you know what I'm saying? Like, my grandmother taught me one thing, who's raised me. She's always said, be nice to everybody, because you never know who door you got to knock on. And she's that since I was younger. And I always remember saying it. I think that was the first time I ever heard somebody say some shit so deep that made me like, damn, hold on, like you really might need this.
Take this with me for life, yeah.
and I literally apply that with everything that I do. I don't ever go to anyone. I don't think you'll meet one person who can say that Tré had an attitude with me when I first met him. Like,
didn't. You were so wonderful. I was like, yes, I like this energy. He gonna be my friend.
I think there's so many people though. Like, I think that like if we really want to show up as our truest self, like so many of us are really nice and gentle and calm and fun-loving, and you know what I mean. Like, I think there's so many people, especially Black people, who are like that. But sometimes it's like we want to. It's just like, oh, you think I'm like this? Let me show up like that so you can really see what's up.
Right.
Or I know for me for me, it's my mouth. My mouth just, I don't know what happens sometimes, but it just gets the best of me and I say things I shouldn't say. And I remember when I was going through a journey of trying to fix that and heal what causes that, I would feel real pumped when I didn't say something I wanted to say. Like, I would be like, oh, I just let that bitch try me. Like, and I would mull over it for days. I would just be like, oh my God, I really let her get away with saying that shit to me. Like, I could have put her clean out. And it's a cultural thing where it's like, that's what we do. Like, we talk shit. We go back and forth. We go be like, shut your ugly ass up. Like, but in certain environments, that's offensive. That's inappropriate. And we usually will kind of downplay anger or downplay just being mean. You know, like that's really what it is sometimes. It's like, well, you're being mean, but that's just cultural or that's funny. When really it's like, no, you need to go sit on somebody's couch and figure out why you're an asshole. Like,
and you know why? I don't have a natural mean body. I mean, bone in my body, like a mean bone. Like I have more of like, I've always just been a people's person. Like, yo, what's up? Let's have fun. I'm not mean until I feel like that's how you are with me. And then I'm going to get you. Like, that's it. Like, don't start none, won't be none with me. But
it won't be no shit.
Like it really won't be none. Like, and I'm serious when I say that. And I also warn people before I get to that point. Hey, I'm about to cuss you. Like I'll say something like that. Like you piss me off. I'm about to cuss you. So you might either want to walk away or it's one of those type of things.
At least you give a warning. That is so precious. That's so kind of you.
Let me make y'all laugh. When I was in school, like say somebody would have called me and was like, oh, I'm just make up a name. Tré, John said something about you yesterday, right? And I'd be like, oh, like say one of y'all come like, John would say he gonna knock you out when he see you. I used to write it down. Anybody in high school?
Write it down.
I used to write down exactly what somebody would say to me and then go to the person and read it. It'd be like, yo, so okay, Alechia and Dani said yesterday that you said you was gonna knock me out. And it'd be a fight. Like it was so dumb, but I don't ask me why I used to do that. Everybody used to leave.
Why? You say I just want to make sure I get it.
First of all, can we just talk about wanting all the smoke? Like just all the smoke.
Like, I didn't care. But it's funny, like that was childish. But it kind of seeped over again to real life because now I write things down when I'm going through something and I'm upset about something or I'm unhappy. Like I'll write it down and reread it like a couple days later and be like, yo, why was I mad? Throw this away. It's not that serious. And I grew up from it. Like, you know, like
we all go through those little growing pains and then it's like, okay, this is how I can process it in a healthier way. And I think that's what we're really saying is like learning how to process our rage, our anger, our frustration in healthier ways so that it doesn't hold us back from attaining our goals and getting everything that we rightfully deserve and that we work damn hard for too. It's not like anybody's looking for handouts. It's like, no, people are working really, really hard and they need their just due. So I really like that. You know, that's the journey that you're on. When I was, Alechia was talking about you and saying all the things that you do, I was like, wow, I love hearing about a Black man that collaborates with Black women. And I think a lot of times in media, everywhere in our households, Black men and Black women are pitted against each other since like the transatlantic trade. You know, like it's unfortunate because I think almost every other day on Instagram, you see a Black man and a Black woman having a nasty argument. I think the latest thing I saw was like Krishan and Blueface, and there's like all this drama happening, and you're just like, oh my gosh, like, and then it's funny, or we think it's entertainment, but it's just like, it's literally like contributing to this destruction of the Black family unit and the Black household. So it always breaks my heart when I see it, but you actually work to and work with Black women. So I wanted to know, like, what is it? Like, how did you get to a space? How have you learned to work with and uplift Black women rather than work against them? Kind of like how I feel like we've been conditioned to do.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I would be a liar if I said that I haven't had like some bad run-ins with some Black women, and not even like just naturally. It's just been dumb stuff, whether we fell over something, like that type of thing. So I would be a liar to say I didn't. But I think with me, I love Black women. I have a lot of female friends, and most of them, all of them are Black women. I grew up, my grandmother raised me, and I don't respect no one more than my grandmother. Like, she's the person that like changed her whole life, because my mother had me so young. And so my grandmother, you know, and all my aunties and, you know, my mom and all them, they just took turns. And my mom was very, you know, people think that's my sister because we're so close in age. Like, she had me really, really young. But I just remember her saying something to me before when she was like, don't be mean to no women like that. Cause she said, I went through it. And I think she based that off her getting pregnant, you know what I'm saying, so young and all this and that. So I've always kind of had that in the back of my mind. I think what's important to me, I also was told by, you know, someone named Miss LaDraine Price, she's no longer with us, but as like, I think I was like 12, she said, you're going to be really good with women. Like, I remember her telling me that. So when people say shit like that, it sticks in my head, right? So Black women have been the ones to open, you know, their arms. And to me, when it came to this business, they've given me multiple opportunities. Black women are literally the reason why I'm able to be so successful and work in my field, because they were the first people to believe in me. I worked for Reverend Sharpton before, and it was his daughters who were like, oh, we really like Tré, Dad, you need to hire him, type of thing. When I worked for Puff, it was a hard job for me because of navigating through certain people there, but it was Aaron Harris, who was his CMO, who literally was like, I like him. That made everybody really pay attention to me. And it just ongoing. And then like, even now, you know, working with Lori Harvey, like that's literally like my little sister. I'm so protective over her. I think everybody knows that about me. Even if you look at pictures, you see me behind like mugging, because I'm like, who these niggas? Who these people coming around my little sister? Like, I ain't got time for this, you know what I'm saying? Type of thing. But it makes me, Black women, I feel like are, you know, if I'm being honest, I feel like you guys are like the ones that are not protected. And I hang with like a group of guys who just want to see you guys win, right? We literally, all of us working. All of us are close to a lot of Black women. Our friend group is all Black women, and we put each other on like family. Even when we met Alicia, like, you know, Tori, that's my sister. Like, I got her back. And when she, you know, she was like, hey, I need you in Morocco and all this and that. I was like, yo, I got you. Let's go. You know what I'm saying? Like, whatever you guys need help with. It's just a natural thing to me, like, to want to always support and protect Black women. Like, I can't explain it. It's just, I don't know. It's like second nature. And probably for my grandmother, probably because she was more so like, hey, you got to have our back. We got your back. And literally that was not a lie, because Black women have had my back. Like, Black women are the first people to support me. And don't let somebody say something about me. Oh no, what you got to say about Tré? They the first ones. I'm like, wait, calm down. I'm not even mad, but yeah, it's dope. So I love it.
I love that. And you spoke and said something earlier centered around love. And I noticed as soon as, because y'all, when we met in Africa, so I'm always the person who I'm going to ask the most, I don't want to say invasive, but I do. Good. Okay. Because I hope it's not invasive, but I do ask, like, I don't like surface talk. Like, if it's surfacey, I can't stay. I don't like breathing shallow water. So I usually like to ask people, because I want to know, you know, who are you? What brings you joy? What's your essence? Like, I ask questions like that. And so I don't even know how we got onto the conversation. But when we were in Africa, Tré was like, oh no, I'm not getting married. So I was like, oh, really? And so then when I saw him today, when we were doing the interview, I was like, is that a ring? Because of course, you know, women are the CIA, the FBI, the DEA, and all the other alphabet soups. And we talked a little bit earlier about, like, you know, self-worth and finding that self-love. And when I saw your ring, I immediately thought you were married or engaged to someone else. And the answer that you told me, I was like, yo, what would happen if so many other, not just Black men, but also Black women focused on the reason like why you have the ring. So explain it. So let the folks know like what the ring like represents, like why you got it, and then what's on it.
Yeah,
I'm putting them in your business. My bad.
No, you good. Listen, I'm transparent. I think with me, so just to piggyback off of me saying that I won't ever get married, that's because of what I saw my whole life. Like
Yeah.
I grew up in like some projects with my grandmother and like a million siblings, a million cousins and family just everywhere. So I've never really seen like a successful marriage. And even the marriages that I did see, it was a lot of like cheating and bullshit that came with it. People were struggling financially. That is something that I said that I would never do. Like, I do not want to struggle financially. So that's why I kind of go hard. And even if I was to get married, I wanted to be financially set. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's a fear of mine, to fail. So I've always been like, that's been my mindset. I want to say as I'm growing older, I'm like, okay, the marriage thing might not be too bad. I'm not rushing. I'm not looking for it. But before, I need to love myself. I need to love myself fully. And I don't feel like you can pour it to anybody else's cup if you don't have nothing in yours, right? And I focused so much like this year, like on my career, and like the last 10 years, that's all I've been work. And I've had like relationships in between there. They haven't worked out. And recently I almost had another relationship. It just didn't work out. But I was like, you know what? It's something that I'm not doing. I'm not loving myself enough, right? So I need to go back to the gym, get my body back like how I wanted it. I need to go back to like therapy and start like doing, getting over some trauma from years ago, like that type of thing. So I wear a ring, and on the ring, it has my favorite scripture on it, right? And I'm able to look at it every day, and it reminds me of like self-love. Like, nope, Trey, guess what? You need to love yourself. You're married to yourself. This is all you need to focus on right now is you. And so if you want to love someone and you want to get married one day and you want to just start a family, whatever you want to do, you cannot love anybody without loving yourself. So I read it every day. It's the whole love is patient, love is kind. It reminds me, love does not delight in evil and rejoices, like all this type of thing. But it's and I was taught to marry for joy, not love. So
yes.
Yeah.
You know what? Yes, because listen, you can love people you don't like. You can love people who you don't enjoy being around. I'm a firm believer. I want to like you more than I love you. And I know that sounds wild.
Yeah. No, it's the truth. It's the truth. You can love ice cream. You know what I'm saying? So you can love anything, but somebody that makes you happy every day, like you wake up in a smile, like you know how that feels? Like I've been there, and it's like, dang, you know what I'm saying? Love comes with joy. Love comes with a lot of things, but I think joy is just like that. It's like, damn, it's the essence of love. It's like, you really make me happy. Like you are my best friend. Like we riding together. Like, you know what I'm saying? Let's do this. Let's do this life thing. And I feel like, whoever you with has to be your best friend. Y'all have to enjoy each other's company because that is hard. I'll anyone who is married, because that's hard. So make sure that person makes you happy.
Sure do need to know that. Yeah. Joy is important. And you do need to like them. Marriage is challenging, but I definitely think if you have the right person, and I know it sounds cliche, but it does matter. Like people kind of get married for the wrong reasons, I think, more than they're willing to admit. Like nobody wants to say like, oh, we got married because of this or that thing that doesn't sound good. And they say it's love, but it's like, but was it? If that thing didn't happen, would you, So it is important to kind of find somebody that you just really enjoy being around. And I think, I used to work for American Express, and they've had a lot of the card holders are people that are very, very elderly, and they've been card members for 50, 60 years. Sometimes they would have just lost a spouse of 50 years. Or I remember one guy, they've been married for 62 years or something like that. And I would always ask, like, what's the secret? What's the secret? And there was definitely a common thread of just being friends, like just really liking the person and enjoying their company, no matter what's happening in life, and just being with someone that you feel like really has your back. And sometimes we romanticize love and marriage into this like fairy tale rom-com, and it's like, it ain't that. It's not that. It's not that.
For sure. I think sometimes love is a trend to a lot of people too.
Yeah.
It's so cool to put like who you with on your Instagram.
Yes.
pound hashtag black love.
Hashtag goals. And it's like 3 weeks later, what happened? Like, what happened to the goals? The goals, change the goals, new goals, no goals. What happened?
Literally, and a lot of expectations on love too. Like, you know what I'm saying? You can't compare what you feel like love is to Jay-Z and Beyonce all the time. Yeah, we want that, but Jay-Z and Beyonce got a whole different type of lifestyle. You know?
They do. And you want to know something? Sometimes you're wanting something that somebody else has without really knowing what they have to go through to get and maintain that.
Yeah.
You know, what comes with that. Like, you're looking at this lifestyle and this person, it's just like, yeah, but you don't know if they're truly happy behind closed doors. I mean, how many times do we see, especially celebrity couples, where everything seemed fine and then out of nowhere, it's a divorce, it's a breakup. And you're like, huh? They were just, You know, it's just like, you know, just focus on what you got going on in your house and not compare and contrast so much to what everybody else seems to have going on.
Yeah.
You know, and finding that community of maybe people that, because for me, I was like you when it came to marriage. I always wanted a child more than I wanted to get married. Like, I always wanted to be a mom, but I wasn't like gung-ho about the whole wife thing. It wasn't giving, you know, like I just didn't feel like it was for me. And a lot of it was because of your reason. Like, I don't feel like I saw enough examples or any really examples of successful marriages where people seemed like they really liked what they were doing. I was like, this don't seem like it's lit at all. Like, I don't want to go to this club.
Yeah, no, straight up. I'm telling you, the marriages I've seen in my life, I'm like, yo, hell no. Good. Y'all don't even like it.
Somebody else to do it. Exactly. Sleeping in different rooms. Like,
sleeping in different rooms, right? Yes.
Like, what is that? Like, I don't want no parts of it. But what it was I think, you know, having friends, like, you know, like younger people getting married and then just seeming to really enjoy themselves. It just kind of helped rebrand marriage. And I think once I kind of shifted my perspective, it helped me be a lot more open to the idea of it. And then when I found my person, it was like, oh, I definitely want to marry you. Like, this is like, we could do this. Like, with you, I could do this. If it was somebody else, I don't know. But with you, I like you. You're a nice person. I like being around you, even when you're getting on my nerves. Like, I would just rather him be here. Yeah, like, I just be here and get on my nerves. Like, be here and be
But I do like what you both are saying, though, is for Dani, you started loving you first, for real.
Always, yeah.
But before you got into this one, it was an intense, let me love on me type of journey. Tré, same thing for you, where it's like, yes, relationships can come. No, I'm not looking for it, but let me fall so deeply in love with me. I feel like that is the most important thing, because then you're able to truly recognize when it's a love that's a healthy one that you can grow in and advance in because you love you so well.
Yeah, but we don't treat me as good as I treat me. We're not even going nowhere, because I'm treating me so good. You got to come match my treatment of me, because I treat me real nice.
Yeah,
I'm real nice to myself. I don't yell at myself. I don't talk crazy to myself. My self-talk is real healthy up here. So if you come in with the yelling and the screaming and the name calling, when I say zero tolerance, like, you cannot, like, I've been with we got married recently, but we've been together for going on 4 years. We have never called each other names. We do not yell at each other. We do not get disrespectful ever. And a lot of times, especially in the Black community, we don't think that's even possible to be like. Like, we're just like, oh, like, it's inevitable. No, it's not.
It's not.
That's crazy you said that, because I just had this conversation with somebody. Like, I was telling him, like, yo, because my homeboy's married, and I was like, yo, how do you not? He talks to me about everything. I've never heard this man say they've had an argument. And I was like, yo, do y'all be arguing, bro? I don't even in your business. He was like, nah. He was like, I don't even know how to argue with her. I was like, what? He said, I never saw my dad argue with my mama. And he was like, he said they've been together for years. And he was like, bro, he asked his dad, and he said his dad was like, I don't argue. He said, we've never had an argument. They've been together like 40 years. He said, we've had a small disagreement.
Right. It doesn't have to get ugly. Like, we definitely disagree now. And we have like little debates. Okay. I like to call them, but it's more important for he and I to know that it's me and him against the problem. So we're always on the same team. And if I'm trying to win, I'm just trying to win the argument, we both lose because we're on the same team. You know, like, that's always, like, when it starts to get a little spicy, I'm like, one of us is like, hold on. Like, what's the problem and how are we going to work together to get to the solution, as opposed to like getting in your feelings and getting nasty and, you know, all the things that can happen. It is possible, and love is out there, and it's definitely very real. It just is not as romanticized, and it's not as pretty, I think, as people would like to believe that it is. And that's the part that makes it not as attractive when you're really in it with somebody for real.
Well, let me write these now, Dani, because y'all gonna be if y'all get married, just know Tré is happy. Just say that.
Be happy, as you should be, as you deserve to be.
Absolutely. And it's something too, like, and Dani and I were discussing it, because your experience with your father is not the same experience that your mother has with that father. Like from the range of emotions to the moods and the changes and all the things. And it's like, at least nobody told me that men have all these vast emotions, right? So when you get in these relationships where you guys are, you know, talking marriage or you're living together, nobody told us that we will need to also understand and learn how to nourish and nurture and work through all the emotions that men have, because y'all got quite a few of them. And no one let us in on that secret. And so for us, what I really want to know too is with all these emotions that y'all have, like how can we better like manage or handle or deal with them, because they are so vast, especially with the mood changes.
No, for sure. Like I think it's a case by case thing.
Yeah,
all men are different. Like so, I'm not a very emotional person. I just started crying, which is crazy. Oh. Like I used to, you know, kids get whooped when they little. I wouldn't cry. And now I was dramatic, like you popped me on my hand. I was like trying to rub off the sting. I don't know exactly why, but other than that, I've always kind of held a lot in me, right? And so
that's why you're fighting a lot. You had a whole bunch of stuff in you.
That's what we mean. Where it's not necessarily like this outward expression of it. It's how it's us recognizing that you're emotional based on certain behaviors or based on certain things that might be more triggering than they need to be in that moment. So, you know, like it is for the most part, it's not like this boohoo crying, like mess of emotion. It's like emotions coming out in mood swings or in snappiness or in meanness. That it's just like, what is that?
We're trying to rub it off.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, as opposed to cry, like it's still an expression of the emotion. It's just that, and I was saying to you when we were talking about it off air, that it's not like a will thing, it's a skills thing that women don't have, because men are not taught to express their emotions in healthy ways, because you're just taught to hold them in and stuff them down and act like they're not existing. Yeah. And then women are taught that you don't even have the emotions in the first place. Just like we're taught that you're poor communicators, which is not true. Yeah. Like if a man will talk to you, he gonna talk to you. Like they communicate great, because just because Jim and Joe's not texting you back after 3 days, that's just them. They're not interested in you. But when a man is interested, you don't gotta guess, think, assume, none of that. Yeah. You know, like you know for sure, because they're very, very like adamant about communicating with you. And I find men to be some of the best communicators that I've ever dealt with in my life, where you guys are very straightforward. You say what you mean what you say, like. You know, but growing up, it was always like, I remember the first guy I dated that was a good communicator was like a shock to my system. I was like, why are you saying how you feel and stuff? Like, what's that? Yeah. Like, why are you like making me talk about my issues when I want to shut down? Like, what are we doing? Like, leave me alone. Let me go sit over here. Let's both shut down like I saw my daddy do and leave it at that. Like, why do you want to talk about it? Like, what is that?
That man wanted you to know he was going through, but honestly, you know what? It's patterns. Like, I think you have to pay attention to patterns, right? And typically, men, we typically have like the same thing that we do on a regular basis, like, you know, and you pay attention to those things. So when that's disrupted, and then you see like he may react out of something, that might be self-trauma as well. You know, it's always a reasoning, and I think it's just it's kind of hard sometimes to, like you said, we do have emotions, but it's kind of hard to, you know, express those emotions until we get really, really comfortable with somebody, right? I know, speaking for myself, like I'm the person everyone calls for everything. Like everybody calls me for everything. Literally, that's my job. That's my personal life. That's my friendships. I am that person, like people call, and I don't mind because everyone knows, like I want to naturally, I just want to help everybody. I wasn't nurtured, like my grandmother raised me, and you normally get that nurturing, thing from your mother. And my mom was so young, like she was I don't blame her for that, but she didn't know how to do that. Like she was so young when she had me. And so my brothers, so my mom has all boys, and then my dad has a million kids. That's why I have so many siblings. And my brothers are very close to my mom. But I'm the only one that's not as close to her.
Yeah.
And we cool, we talk, we text in there, but I'm not the first son that she's gonna call if something happens, right? And I'm her oldest. I'm just not the first, for anything. And all of them, my brothers, they're so loving. You could tell the difference. We all have similarities, but you could tell the difference, right? And it's always
because you guys had different parents. You experienced a different mother than they experienced.
And that's what I tell them. Yeah, and it's the truth. And again, it's nothing like against my mama because she did everything she was supposed to do. It's just for me, what I'm saying? She missed that for me. So I naturally nurture everybody else. And I never realized I do that. That's why I'm so like, yo, you good? Like, it's little stuff. Like somebody could tell me like, oh, bro, I'm moving into a new apartment. Yo, you want me to come help you? That's like a question. Like, answer for me for everything, And so I think, again, it's case by case. Whatever man you're dealing with, you have to pay attention to his patterns. I hate being let down, and that's a trigger. I don't like being talked to because I raised myself, so can't nobody tell me what to do. That's a trigger for me. I'm not the tallest guy. Like I'm average. I'm 5'9", 5'10", wherever I am. But you can't just be standing over me. Like that's a trigger. That's my face. You got to bag up off me, and I'll tell you like, yo, you got to get out of my face. Like this ain't good for me. It's a trigger. So again, it's just paying attention to like patterns and just learning what those
and knowing that person, like learning your partner. And a lot of times we just come up with our own conclusions and assume things as opposed to having those conversations. Like if my partner was to tell me that, like, why don't you like when someone stands over you? Like, I would want to know the story behind that, asking the right questions and just being interested in that person and who they are and their background and things like that. Like you said, a lot of times people just like, love sounds good and it looks cool and it looks fly on Valentine's Day on Instagram, so you don't look like the lonely girl or the lonely guy. But a lot of times we're not going deep in our relationship. So then when things get rocky, we're not anchored in anything. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it's gonna be easy to blow it all apart and send me downstream and you somewhere else because we're not anchored in anything that really means anything. So I definitely love that what your triggers are, but it would be up to your partner to care enough to learn those things and to not use them and weaponize them against you. Because we had Jay Barnett on the show, and he's a therapist, and he's like, his focus is Black men. And he talked a lot about when he was a kid, he grew up in a house of all women. And he said that he would because of the interactions he had with his mothers and his sisters, when he grew up, he would be afraid to be vulnerable to them because when he was as a child, he would tell them something and they would weaponize it and use it against him.
Yeah. And that's a lot. That's a lot. Like,
and that's the thing. And when he was just getting us all the way together. But when he said that, I was like, oh my gosh, like I have so done that. Like I do that. I do that sometimes. Like I will be like, well, that's why.
But still to this day, women do that, and women don't notice. Like a man has to trust you.
Exactly.
Tell you like, what I'm saying, like his life. Like he has to trust you for you to like when you'll get to like, understand his emotions because it comes from things before. But like even me, like I didn't really like my mama them, they fought us. Like it wasn't like no whooping, like we some boys, but it's like, yo, you ain't supposed to be running up on me like this. Like I'm 8 years old. And then about it when you get older, you know what I'm saying? Like it's a thing like you said, it's always a backstory to that.
And it's important. And what we learned especially through that conversation with Jay was how important it is for, especially in a romantic space, if you're a heterosexual man, for a woman to be a safe space so that your man can be vulnerable, not to use the vulnerable things he tells you to manipulate him or to weaponize them against him, but to get to know him so that you can be a better partner and you can support him through that and help him heal through that. That was mind blowing because I just never thought about it like that. Like I just thought I was calling you a bitch ass because
Yeah.
You know, that's what's gonna hurt your feelings.
Right? Somebody called him that when he was younger. It's like men been through some shit. Like, and that's what
Yeah.
Men have gone. Like, I've been through shit. Like, one day I'm happy like to tell my whole life story. I have been through some shit that triggers me still to this day.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's like, it's a lot. Like the whole running up on me thing, I don't like that. Like, especially no grown man be over me no type of way. Like, you got to back up off me. Women normally have a certain aura to me, like, and it's that welcomes, not all, but a lot of women, especially Black women, that makes me feel safe. You know what I'm saying? Like, and especially if it's a energy. My grandmother is very like outspoken. She's very who she is. She's so Louisiana. She don't care. She has a good time. But my grand is the sweetest person in the world. And I naturally attract those type of women because I know how to deal with that, right?
Yeah. As opposed to being intimidated by it.
Right. My mother was a little more, you could tell she had a hard life, especially being a teenage mother. And she's very, that kind of energy sometimes pushes me away when I feel like it's one, because it makes me realize like, damn, she's going through something. I can't deal with that right now because I'm going through.
When a woman feels closed off to you, it turns
closed off, very, and sometimes it's intriguing. You know, it's like, let me figure out, let me help out with this and some things. But if she's anything like Tootie, like my mom, my mom is very like, get the hell out of my face. I'll figure it out. But I'm that same way. No one can help me with anything. Like, I went through something for like a whole year, and people just found out last year what I was going through, but they noticed something was going on, including like, it's normally Black women. Lori, you know, this is somebody I deal with every day. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, she's my little sister, and sometimes she turns into a big sister because she's like, yo, like, Trey, something is wrong with you. What the hell is wrong with you? And I'm like, look, I don't want to talk about it. And she was like, well, I'm your family. You know what I'm saying? You can come to me. And she tells me that all the time, but I'm very like, all right, whatever. So let's focus on you. You have this dope opportunity coming up, and you can tell it annoys her, but I say, Lord, one day we'll get there. This is me. Everybody.
That's not how you are. And does that, because I know we did a little research on you, that you were talking about when you were a kid, you were signing all your own paperwork, you'll sign yourself up for school. Like, you've always been hyper independent. Do you think a lot of that stems from that? Like, that kind of having to always figure it out yourself type of a thing? Like, how does that show up when you, even as a child, had to figure it out?
Yeah, I think because I've always had so much responsibility put on me.
I
grew up, again, like my grandmother and my aunties, they worked a lot. And I was the oldest like cousin, but I wasn't the oldest in the house, you know, with us. But even then, like, I started like paying attention, like even the older people who were older than me, I was doing for them, waking them up for school. Like, I've never lived in a house. I've always lived in projects with like a bunch of us living in like the apartment and stuff. So I would be the one waking up in the morning, like, all right, everybody's still asleep. Let me wake them up. Let me cook like breakfast. For, you know, I just little stuff like that. So I kind of turned into like I always say I turned into like the black male Matilda. Like,
Matilda, please not Matilda.
Like, I'm telling y'all, and I was always like, it took me a minute to kind of change like my little hoodie. But I used to do shit like dumb stuff like that. Like, I would go get on a bus, and especially in Houston, I would figure it out like, okay, the 71 take you here. This is me at like 6. The 71 and take me over here, because when we drove past here the other day, it was a McDonald's over here, but the library was right here. Like, I would do stuff like that and figure it out, right? So it's just everything.
Well, I invite you to do something for me and for you. It's more so for you, but I'm asking you to do it. I would really like, if you don't already have a person who you are so nurturing because you had to take care of everybody. And I get it. At 8 years old, I was taking care of my siblings because my mom lost her mom. My daddy, you know, he couldn't deal with the loss of their son. So I get it. I was like you. Like, I raised all the people, did all the things. But in my journey of learning to love myself and finding joy, if you can find you 1 or 2 good humans who can nurture you in a safe haven to where you will call them for help, you will allow yourself to be open to their insight, I promise you, it is a game changer when it comes to healing, especially for you as a man, because I get that you can handle all the things, you can take care of all the things, you can, everybody calls you up, but you also need someone who you can trust with your safety to nurture you too. Because at some point, you are going to need to be nurtured too. And that's just what I'm just going to challenge you to do that. If you can't just, it don't even got to be tomorrow, but over the next year, find you one or two people. And it doesn't have to be people who you're romantically involved with. It can be platonic relationships. My first two folks, they were super platonic relationships. Now, because of the phase I'm in, I look for that in my intimate partners. But find you just one or two people. And if you can't find two, find one, but who can nurture you, because there is something so enriching that happens when you have someone who can help to fill you after you filled everybody else.
No,
That's
sure.
what I'm going. So put that out there for you.
Listen. Give me 2 years. I'll find. I'm gonna try my hard.
2.
And I love, Tré, how you kind of, I think there's a lot of, especially nowadays, where trauma is so demonized. And I think in some spaces it should be, because it is really bad. But I think a lot of times we don't realize just how much our trauma prepares us for our purpose and how we can turn that pain into purpose. Not all of us, but some of us do, like you did. So I think that's something to be said about, like, as opposed to looking at like, oh, well, I had to do these things as a kid. Yes, you have to do those things, but look at how that primed you to be this person, this doer, right? And not just a dreamer like your ex thought, right? That you was just gonna dream away and y'all gonna be broke. It was like, no, I'm a doer because I've been doing. Like, I'm mulling through it in my head, and I want to get all the information, but I kind of want to rebrand trauma a little bit. I think that it's in a space, like I said, where it's demonized, and it's just like we're avoiding trauma so much that it's making us like weaker as a unit and as people, like as a collective. We're raising, like, I don't know if you interact with like children now, but they're so different and they're so fragile and just like emotional and unstable. And I just can't. Okay. But I think there is some kind of value in adversity. And I'm never supporting or saying that everyone should go through horrible things like abuse, but I just wish sometimes if we had a different perspective on it, if we could use some of the things that we learned from that trauma, like you did, to kind of make you a better person and use that to lean into your purpose and use it for your benefit, as opposed to using it as an excuse to not accomplish and be the best version of yourself. So kudos to you for being like that, because a lot of people would use everything you've been through as an excuse, as opposed to a mission and a reason to kind of fulfill your purpose.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and I think you have to speak on it. I think you have to, like, that's your testimony. I'm working on something right now. I don't want to give too much away, but it's kind
of give us a little something.
I got you. It's literally something that I feel like is going to benefit men and women, whether you black, white, whatever you are. It kind of suffers from, like, we kind of look at depression and like those type of things and forget what those feelings can lead to. And so I'm working on like a big project coming up really soon where I'll be able to like speak on it, and I'll be able to talk to other people who have been through those same things.
Yeah.
And we're going to shed some light on how we were able to get away from it. Right. And it plays hand in hand with trauma. The trauma is something that gets you into, and I feel like that's what depression is, because you're going through something triggers you, and it's normally something, from your past or some type of trauma. And then it leads into like these other thoughts that shouldn't be in your head. Right. So I think just like you said, just making sure that we voice that and letting people know you are not alone. You're not the only person that has been through this.
Yeah.
A lot of people, just building that community of support, is super important to me. So I'm with you. Take the trauma. If you've been through some trauma, look, turn it into something, right?
Yeah.
That trauma into trillions. That's what we do.
Hello. That's the tagline. Turn the trauma into trillions, honey. Okay. Well, Tré, thank you so much for joining us so we can talk about Black goodness, and so we can just talk about just how amazing Black men are and some of the things that you guys have been through as just an overall community. Obviously, everyone's experience is different, and just how we can better support you as your sisters and wives and aunties and mothers, like, thank you for kind of giving us some nuggets and some things like, hey, let's pay attention. Let's listen more. Let's like get to know people for who they are. And, a man's value is not just based on what he can provide, y'all. Like, his value is based on other things, like who he is, his integrity, how he shows up in the world, like all the things. So we want to know, where can our listeners stay connected with you so that they can get more of all this Black goodness?
Listen, I move like a drug dealer. I only got one social media. So it's Tré _2 times last name Thomas, for the most part. And then, you got to send me my email. All my contact information is on there. You'll probably see me in your local, I don't know, like celebrity event or some shit. So feel free to come speak. And yeah, literally I'm on IG. So hit me up for anything.
I love it. Dani, where can we stay connected with you?
You can stay connected with me at the Dani Bordeaux. Bordeaux is BOURDEAU. You can also stay connected with us at Triggered AFPC on Instagram, triggeredafpodcast.com. You can go and subscribe and register. We have like lots of events and stuff coming up on triggeredafevents.com. Some of them are virtual, some of them are in person. So we really want to connect with you that way. So definitely stay connected like that. Where can we stay connected with you, Alechia?
All over Beyonce's internet at Alechia Reese, ALECHIA, last name Reese, REESE. I am so excited to continue these conversations. Y'all, imagine how good y'all feel when y'all listening to them. That times 10 when we're doing these interviews. So thank you. Make sure you are sharing this with some folks who need some help, who are not handling their triggers well. Go ahead and share a lot of these interviews and things with them to help them not only identify, but also work through. Because it's not just about uncovering for us. It's also about now, how do we work through? We've identified what the issue is, what the trigger is, and now how do we work through it? So thank you so much again, Tré, for joining us. This was so good. Like, we lost track of time. This was so good.
Yeah. But listen, good conversation, good people. So thank you guys.
Absolutely. Well, until next time, bye, Trigger Happy family.
Bye.